Alright, hey guys, so today I just kinda wanna show you something cool that just happened to me today, and that is I just got my first ever like successful blindfold solve, and as you can see here, I'm just trying to put on my blindfold in this clip. I actually got this blindfold like customized. I got it from a custom website called Custom Drop Shipping, and as you can see, I have the letters D and F written on it, and that is because, you know, most blindfold solves normally end with a D and F. If you're in a big rush, or you know, if you're inexperienced, normally that is the result of your blindfold solve, D and F. So here I'm just scrambling the cube. I'll show you the scramble up on the screen right now. So yeah, there you go. So after I sneakily peeked at my cube to see if, you know, all of my scrambling was right, I accidentally pressed the spacebar because I forgot that you didn't need inspection in blindfold solve. So I had a little bit of a peek-see again. I'm not supposed to do it, but here we go. We've started now. So the first step of what I try to do in a blindfold solve is, you know, just to memorize all of the edges. A lot of people do corners first because, you know, corners they contain less information, so you know, they be able to hold on to it for longer. But you know, I don't do that because I'm pretty new to blindfold solving, so that's also the reason why you're about to see me use the old Pochmann method as well, for both edges and corners. So right now I'm just memorizing, and I don't recall like when exactly each like edge was memorized, and I couldn't really tell from the video either. But basically, from the old Pochmann method, with a buffer at the B position or the upper right edge, I was able to deduce that my full memo for the edges were V, D, G, Q, J, N, C, W, C, L, H, L. And that actually took me about like 4.5 minutes to completely memorize that into my mind and, you know, start moving on to the corners. But basically, if you have that many letters, you're not going to memorize it all in one go. If it's numbers, it's actually easier, and you know, I would know why numbers are easier because I memorized pi. But basically, with all the letters, you need to make up a story, and the story that I made up on the spot for, you know, a whole bunch of these letters it's actually pretty funny. Once again, noticed that I was under time constraints, so I couldn't really make up like a detailed story, so I had to just kind of rush it here. So the story that I made up with all the letters was video, Giroud, John, Cow, Champions League, Half-Life, and basically the story behind this is basically a video of Giroud that John Cow took for him in the Champions League, made it into Half-Life. Yeah. I associate the GQ with, you know, Giroud because 442s kind of call him like Giroud, and you know, I'm a big football fan, so that's why I created the story in the first place. And basically, from my footballer frame of mind kind of memory, I just kind of made up a whole story, and it actually kind of helped because Olivier Giroud actually scored 4 goals against Sevilla in the Champions League last month, which made this whole like John Cow taking a video of Giroud in the Champions League thing kind of easier. I don't know why I called him like John Cow. I could have called him like, you know, another surname such as John Coldwell, because, you know, that would have, you know, kind of made the CW more sense, because cow, I could confuse it with CO, but Coldwell, because there's 2 syllables, I automatically associate it with CW. And also because Coldwell is an actual surname. I mean, I had a learning support teacher that had that surname, so yeah. I don't know why I chose John Cow. If I had more time, I would definitely choose John Coldwell. And, you know, it actually sounds nicely. But, and then the Half-Life part, I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, it was the last 2 letters. I had to do something quickly. I think at this point, I got all of the edges memorized. So, like, all of the permutations, all of the letters. But at this point, I think I'm just trying to, like, memorize a story for them. So, you know, the whole story about you know, Olivier Giroud being taken a video by John Caldwell or John Cow in this point in the Champions League that made it to half-life. So yeah, that's the whole story behind it. I don't think Cow's friend's gonna be watching, but John Cow. Right now I'm just counting how many edges that I have memorized, and you know, I need to adjust that according to how many has been solved or in the correct position that has been flipped. Okay, so now I'm just kind of like memorizing the whole story again, and now I'm starting to memorize corners. So for corners, I don't really make up a story for them because I execute the corners right away. So the story that the whole letter scheme that I made up with the corners, according to, you know, how they need to be swapped, is IUQD LC TV, and I don't really like make up a story for that because, you know, to save time, and because, you know, I'm moving on that right away. I just kind of memorize that whole audio into my mind. So I just say like IUQD LCTV like really quickly. And LCTV, I actually did kind of make up like a little bit of a mind story because, you know, this LCD TVs are an actual thing. You could buy them. But the IUQD, that made no sense. That completely like just like I couldn't think of anything that had to do with IU and QD. So I just kind of like skipped it in my mind. But then the LCTV is, you know, LCD TV, so, you know, without the D. So basically the corner part I just kind of memorize that audio, so I just say it over and over again, and then, you know, I could execute it. And because I execute the corners right away before I execute the edges, I'm able to memorize what the corners letters are, so I could execute it right away. I think right now I kind of messed up the corners. I think I memorized like D, the next letter of D is supposed to be L and not some other letter. I don't remember what I'm trying to do, but I did kind of mess up a little bit because you know, it normally doesn't take me like 3 minutes to memorize the corners, especially if I don't have to make up a story in it for it. So I just kind of like just say up the letters, and also because there's only 8 letters instead of, you know, the normal 12. So at this point, I kind of like, I was still memorizing it, but I think because it's about 6 minutes 30, I was trying to like think if I have any parity or not. And obviously I don't have parity because they're both even numbers of edges. I know the logical thing to do is to think of if there's any parity right after you finish the edges, but I don't know what's wrong with my mind. Right now I'm just, you know, confirming if the corners are correct before I execute it, and of course going over that whole story about the LCD TV, which isn't really a story. It's just like IUQD LCD TV without the D. If you're wondering why I'm holding my cube so weirdly, it's because like for every corner that I know I've memorized, I put a finger on it so to symbolize that I've done that corner. So if I start a new cycle, I know not to start on that corner. And also if I try to have an edge, I know like I have an edge to like put on. I know that corner is already like treated with. So if I somehow end up with that corner again, I know I made a mistake. So yeah. At this point, I've started. I've put down my blindfold and I'm starting to execute. So that was a 7 minute and 35 second memo, which is horrible. Like, there are people out there who finish memorizing in 8 seconds. Not even joking. Even sometimes less than that. So as you could see, I was pretty slow. But you know, it was my first ever like sort of like blindfold attempt on camera. So what do you expect? I have done blindfolds before, like, but I can't write them down on paper, so that doesn't really count. So yeah, so I think at this point I'm still executing the corners. I couldn't really speak for which corner I'm executing right now because my fingers are just moving so quickly. And you know, I think the corners should be done now. I think right now I'm going back to the whole story about Giroud scoring in the Champions League. Yeah, so now I'm kind of like, you know, with the whole story that I made up earlier with the edges. And yeah, as you can see, I do some slice moves here. Basically, for each letter that, you know, in the story, so such as, you know, V, D, G, Q, J, N, C, W, C, L, H, L, basically, I follow the script and, you know, do a set of algorithms for each letter. And, well, the algorithms are all just T perms and J perms and the other J perm anyway, in my standard. But basically, I try to, like, you know, get all of them to place according to the story that I've made up for myself. So, that's that. So, at this point, I'm almost done. Right? I just got, like, 3 or 4 more corners to go. And, in about, like, 6 seconds, I'll be done. His final moves, and he puts the cube down, and there we go. At this point, I was really nervous. I saw the cube was completely solved, and I was happy. Knowing that I've just completed my first ever blind solve, and, you know, it was my first time having it on camera as well, because, you know, I was kind of doing like an unofficial competition kind of thing. So, you know, I was really happy at this point. I didn't know, like, what to do. But, I think in about a couple of seconds after I kept my calm, I move on to the next solve, which wasn't as good. I'm drinking the victory water. Good job, Oscar.